Samantha Shelley Nance was born and raised in the small town of Italy, Texas, where she quickly became known for her artistic talent and bright personality. Growing up in a close-knit community, Shelley displayed an early love for creativity, filling sketchbooks with drawings that reflected her keen eye for detail and deep imagination. Encouraged by her family, she pursued her artistic ambitions with determination, often participating in school art competitions and local exhibitions. Her parents, proud of her accomplishments, supported her dreams of making a name for herself in the art world. In high school, Shelley's talent blossomed further, earning her recognition among teachers and peers. Friends described her as warm, ambitious, and driven, with a contagious enthusiasm that inspired those around her. Beyond her artistic pursuits, Shelley enjoyed music, travel, and spending time with loved ones, always seeking inspiration from the world around her. After graduating, Shelley set her sights on higher education and was accepted into the Art Institute of Dallas, a prestigious step toward achieving her dreams. The transition from small-town life to the bustling city was both exciting and challenging, but she embraced the experience with optimism. Shelley quickly adapted to her new environment, immersing herself in her studies and forming close friendships with classmates who shared her passion for creativity. At the Institute, Shelley focused on honing her skills in digital design and visual arts. Professors recognized her dedication and talent, often praising her for her work ethic and originality. She became known for her unique artistic style, blending traditional techniques with modern digital elements. Outside the classroom, she explored Dallas's vibrant art scene, visiting galleries and drawing inspiration from the city's culture. Shelley shared an apartment with Ashley Olvera, a fellow student who became one of her closest friends. Their bond grew stronger as they navigated the challenges of college life together. Ashley often recalled Shelley's kindness, noting how she always offered encouragement and support, no matter how stressful their coursework became. Despite the demands of her studies, Shelley remained committed to maintaining a balanced life, enjoying social outings and maintaining regular contact with her family back home. In addition to her academic life, Shelley had a promising romantic relationship with Nathan Shuck, another student at the Institute. The two shared a mutual love for art and spent countless hours discussing their creative aspirations. Friends and classmates often saw them together at campus events, supporting each other's projects and envisioning a future where they could turn their passion into a career. However, not everything in Shelley's life was perfect. As she pursued her dreams, subtle tensions began to surface in her social circle, particularly surrounding her relationship with Nathan. Some classmates noticed an undercurrent of jealousy and possessiveness from an unexpected source: Nathan's roommate, Daniel William. Initially, Daniel appeared to be a quiet, reserved individual, but as time passed, his behavior toward Shelley became increasingly unsettling. Despite these minor concerns, Shelley remained focused on her future. Her ambition was unwavering, and she looked forward to completing her degree and establishing herself in the art industry. With a bright future ahead, Shelley had every reason to believe that she was on the path to success. But the promise of tomorrow would soon be shattered by an act of unimaginable violence, one that would forever change the lives of those who knew and loved her. On the morning of September 11th, 2009, Ashley Olvera, Shelley's roommate, returned to their Lake Highlands apartment in Dallas, Texas, after attending classes at the Art Institute. She had not seen Shelley for a few days and was growing concerned, especially since Shelley's parents had also mentioned they hadn't heard from her recently. Upon entering the apartment, Ashley noticed an unsettling silence. Calling out for Shelley yielded no response. Apprehensively, she approached Shelley's bedroom door, which was slightly ajar. Pushing it open, Ashley was met with a horrifying sight. Shelley lay face down on her bed, the sheets stained with blood. Overcome with shock and fear, Ashley immediately dialed 911, her hands trembling as she relayed the grim discovery. First responders arrived swiftly, securing the scene and confirming the worst. 20-year-old Samantha Shelley Nance was deceased. detectives from the Dallas Police Department were called in to investigate. The initial assessment revealed that Shelley had been brutally attacked. She had suffered 42 stab wounds to her neck and back, indicating a violent and personal assault. There were no signs of forced entry into the apartment, suggesting that Shelley either knew her attacker or had willingly allowed them inside. Additionally, there was no evidence of sexual assault or robbery, leading investigators to believe that the motive was deeply personal. As news of Shelley's tragic death spread, the community was left in shock. Friends, family, and classmates were devastated by the loss of a young woman who had shown so much promise and talent. Vigils were held in her honor, with many expressing their grief and sharing fond memories of Shelley. The senselessness of the crime left everyone searching for answers, while the authorities worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to that fateful day. Investigators began by interviewing those closest to Shelley, hoping to uncover any information that could lead them to the perpetrator. They spoke with Ashley, who recounted her last interactions with Shelley and provided details about their living arrangements. Shelley's boyfriend, Nathan Shuck, was also questioned extensively. As the investigation progressed, detectives would uncover a web of jealousy and obsession that would ultimately lead them to Shelley's killer. When detectives arrived at Shelley's apartment, they were met with a scene that spoke volumes about the brutal nature of the attack. Shelley's bedroom, once a sanctuary of creativity and self-expression, was now a place of unimaginable horror. Her body was found lying face down on her bed, covered in blood, with multiple stab wounds to her back and neck. The violent nature of the injuries suggested a frenzied and personal attack, leading investigators to believe that the perpetrator knew Shelley well. One of the most alarming details was the sheer number of wounds, 42 in total. The medical examiner would later confirm that the injuries had been inflicted with a knife, with the majority targeting her upper body. There were no signs of a struggle elsewhere in the apartment, implying that Shelley may have been caught off guard or incapacitated quickly. Despite the intensity of the attack, the crime scene itself was eerily orderly. There was no sign of forced entry, no broken locks or windows, and no clear indication of a struggle beyond Shelley's bedroom. Investigators meticulously combed through the apartment, searching for clues that could lead them to the perpetrator. They found no evidence of theft. Shelley's valuables, including her wallet, laptop, and jewelry, were untouched. This suggested that the motive was not robbery but something far more personal. Police collected DNA samples from the scene, carefully swabbing areas where they believed the attacker may have left traces of evidence. One crucial piece of evidence was a single small bloody footprint near the doorway of Shelley's bedroom. Investigators determined it did not match Shelley's shoe size, suggesting it belonged to the killer. Another disturbing find was a torn plastic Ziploc bag found in a nearby trash can, which appeared to have traces of Shelley's blood and hair inside. This discovery raised chilling questions. Had the killer taken something from the scene? And if so, why? With no signs of forced entry, detectives turned their attention to the possibility that Shelley had willingly let her attacker in. They began to examine her relationships, focusing on close friends, acquaintances, and romantic connections. Shelley's boyfriend, Nathan Shuck, became an immediate person of interest. Nathan had spent significant time at the apartment, and investigators wondered if their relationship had taken a dark turn. As forensic specialists continued their analysis, investigators conducted interviews with Shelley's neighbors and friends. They learned that Shelley had last been seen alive the evening before, and no one had reported any disturbances. However, one neighbor recalled seeing an unfamiliar figure lingering near the apartment complex on the night of the murder. The description was vague, an average-built man in dark clothing, but it gave detectives their first potential lead. Back at the police station, Shelley's roommate, Ashley Olvera, provided a timeline of events leading up to the discovery of the body. She had been out of town for a few days and, upon returning, immediately sensed something was wrong. The apartment had an unusual stillness, and the fact that Shelley had not returned any calls or messages alarmed her. Ashley described Shelley's relationship with Nathan as mostly positive, but mentioned an unsettling tension surrounding his roommate, Daniel William. Daniel, a quiet and introverted figure, had been living with Nathan and had shown an unusual interest in Shelley. Friends noted that he often watched her from a distance and seemed envious of Nathan's relationship with her. Ashley revealed that Shelley had mentioned feeling uncomfortable around Daniel on several occasions, but had brushed it off, not wanting to create unnecessary conflict between him and Nathan. With these revelations, detectives began to shift their focus. Could Daniel's silent presence have masked a darker obsession? Did his feelings for Shelley take a deadly turn? As forensic results started coming in, authorities would soon find answers that would shock even the most seasoned investigators. As detectives delved deeper into Shelley's life, they turned their attention to those closest to her, starting with her boyfriend, Nathan Shuck. Nathan, visibly shaken by the news of Shelley's murder, cooperated fully with authorities. He provided a detailed account of his whereabouts on the night of the crime, stating that he had been out with friends and had later returned to the apartment he shared with his roommate, Daniel William. Despite Nathan's apparent grief and willingness to assist in the investigation, police knew they had to follow standard procedure. They combed through his phone records, social media interactions, and text messages with Shelley, searching for any signs of conflict or distress. Nathan admitted that he and Shelley had their share of disagreements, as any couple did, but maintained that their relationship was loving and supportive. Still, detectives couldn't ignore the unsettling find made during a search of his apartment: a Ziploc bag containing strands of Shelley's hair and traces of her blood. The discovery of the bag raised immediate red flags. Nathan insisted he had no idea how it had ended up in his apartment and suggested that someone might have planted it. Investigators knew they had to tread carefully. They questioned Nathan about his roommate, Daniel William, and his response was telling. Nathan hesitated before describing Daniel as a bit odd and reclusive, admitting that he had recently noticed tension in their friendship. As detectives dug into Daniel's background, they uncovered a troubling pattern. Described by those who knew him as introverted and socially awkward, Daniel had struggled to form meaningful relationships. Former classmates at the Art Institute described him as a loner who harbored an intense admiration for Nathan. Some even hinted that his feelings bordered on obsession, fueling suspicions that Daniel had resented Shelley's presence in Nathan's life. Witnesses recounted instances where Daniel seemed jealous of Shelley's relationship with Nathan, often making passive-aggressive remarks when she was around. A friend of Nathan's told police that Daniel once confided in him, saying, "Shelley doesn't deserve him. She's ruining everything." These comments, coupled with Daniel's odd behavior and proximity to the crime scene, placed him squarely in the investigators' crosshairs. Detectives also analyzed security footage from the apartment complex, hoping to piece together a timeline. While no cameras directly captured Shelley's apartment door, footage from a nearby entrance showed Daniel entering the complex alone, late on the evening of September 10th. His demeanor appeared tense, and he was seen carrying a small bag. Surveillance later captured him leaving in the early hours of the morning, now without the bag in hand. This timeline coincided suspiciously with the estimated time of Shelley's murder. As the investigation progressed, detectives obtained a search warrant for Daniel's belongings. Inside his room, they found several disturbing items: printed photographs of Shelley, some taken without her knowledge, and a journal containing ominous, obsessive entries about her. Phrases like, "She's always in the way," and "Nathan will see the truth soon," painted a picture of a man consumed by jealousy and resentment. When confronted with the evidence, Daniel denied any involvement in Shelley's murder, claiming the photos were harmless and insisting he had been at home all night. However, his alibi quickly fell apart when police discovered receipts from a nearby Walmart dated the night of the crime. Surveillance footage from the store showed him purchasing gloves and cleaning supplies, items consistent with an attempt to cover up a violent act. With mounting evidence against him, detectives felt they were closing in on Shelley's killer. The once quiet, socially awkward roommate now appeared to be harboring dark secrets, and the investigation was about to take a chilling turn. Daniel's fascination with Nathan bordered on the obsessive. Friends reported that he often seemed overly protective of their friendship and grew increasingly uncomfortable whenever Shelley was around. Several of Nathan's classmates mentioned that Daniel would often make passive-aggressive remarks about Shelley, dismissing her as a distraction and claiming that she was holding Nathan back from his potential. Investigators began to suspect that this resentment had festered into something much darker. Digging deeper, police interviewed those who had spent time with Daniel in social settings. Former classmates described moments when Daniel appeared irritated whenever Nathan spoke about Shelley or made plans with her. One acquaintance recalled Daniel once saying, "If she weren't around, things would be so much better." At the time, it seemed like an offhand comment. Now, in the wake of Shelley's murder, it carried a far more sinister weight. A breakthrough came when investigators obtained a search warrant for Daniel's personal belongings. In his bedroom, they discovered a chilling collection of Shelley's photographs, many taken without her knowledge. Some were from social events, while others appeared to have been taken from a distance, suggesting he had been watching her without her realizing it. Even more disturbing was a handwritten journal found beneath his mattress. Inside the journal, detectives found disturbing entries detailing Daniel's growing resentment toward Shelley. One entry read, "She's always there, always in the way. Nathan would see the truth if she were gone." Another ominous passage declared, "I know what I have to do now. He'll thank me one day." The writings painted a picture of a man consumed by jealousy and an obsessive need to remove Shelley from Nathan's life. Further scrutiny of Daniel's activities on the night of the murder provided damning evidence. Surveillance footage from a nearby Walmart captured Daniel making suspicious purchases just hours before Shelley's estimated time of death. He was seen buying a set of gloves, cleaning supplies, and a box of large Ziploc bags, the same type of bag found in Nathan's apartment containing traces of Shelley's blood and hair. The timestamp on the receipt placed him in the store around 9:45 p.m. on September 10, 2009. Police theorized that after purchasing the supplies, Daniel waited for an opportunity to strike. With Ashley out of town and Nathan unaware, Daniel likely used his knowledge of Shelley's schedule to enter the apartment undetected. Investigators believed that Shelley had either let him in willingly, not suspecting any threat, or that he had access to a spare key Nathan kept in their apartment. A crucial piece of forensic evidence soon emerged. Traces of Shelley's blood were found on the soles of a pair of sneakers recovered from Daniel's closet. Though he had attempted to clean them, luminol testing revealed the presence of blood, further linking him to the crime. When confronted with this evidence, Daniel maintained his innocence, claiming he had nothing to do with Shelley's death and that the shoes had been stained from an unrelated incident. Despite his denials, detectives felt they had enough to charge Daniel with Shelley's murder. The case against him was building rapidly, with a clear motive of jealousy and obsession driving his actions. What had initially appeared to be a tragic, senseless killing was now revealing itself as a premeditated act, fueled by Daniel's deep-seated resentment and his unreciprocated feelings toward Nathan. As authorities prepared to make an arrest, they knew the trial ahead would be difficult, especially with Daniel's continued insistence of his innocence. But the evidence, both physical and circumstantial, painted a damning picture, one that Shelley's friends and family hoped would finally bring justice for the promising young artist, whose life was cut short by an all-consuming obsession. As investigators built their case against Daniel William, forensic evidence and witness testimonies painted a chilling picture. DNA tests confirmed traces of Shelley's blood on Daniel's shoes and car interior, while surveillance footage showed him buying gloves and cleaning supplies the night before the murder. His disturbing journal entries, detailing his resentment toward Shelley and obsession with Nathan, further solidified suspicions. Phone records placed Daniel near Shelley's apartment at the estimated time of death, contradicting his alibi. Interviews with classmates revealed his growing jealousy, with one friend recalling him saying, "She's ruining everything." With mounting evidence, police arrested Daniel on November 15, 2009, charging him with first-degree murder. Daniel's trial began in late 2010, drawing significant public interest. Prosecutors presented a strong case, arguing that his obsession with Nathan and hatred toward Shelley drove him to murder. They highlighted his journal, suspicious purchases, and forensic evidence linking him to the crime scene. Nathan testified, sharing how Daniel's behavior had grown increasingly possessive and hostile toward Shelley. The defense, however, argued the case was circumstantial, claiming Daniel's odd behavior did not equate to guilt. Shelley's mother gave an emotional testimony, sharing the devastating impact of the loss on their family. After weeks of deliberation, the jury found Daniel guilty of first-degree murder. Daniel was sentenced to life in prison without parole, with the judge citing the brutal and premeditated nature of the crime. Shelley's family expressed relief, but struggled with the immense loss. Her friends and classmates honored her memory through art exhibits and tributes, ensuring her legacy endured despite the tragedy. To honor Shelley's passion, the Art Institute of Dallas established the Shelley Nance Memorial Scholarship, helping aspiring artists pursue their dreams. Her hometown of Italy, Texas, held annual art events in her name, while her parents became advocates for violence prevention. Through these efforts, Shelley's memory lived on, inspiring countless others. If you have finished watching, you are a real fan of true crime. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notifications, and put the like. See you in the next video.